The woman suddenly realized that she had stepped on something, so she reacted immediately and took out a small knife from her pocket, slowly bent down to observe the ground. She soon noticed a loose floor, so she picked up a small knife and cut. The wooden board then took out her phone and opened the camera and put the phone in the gap. This is how she found that she had stepped on a bouncing ice. However, she did not panic too much, but stood up steadily, put the table next to her horizontally on the ground, raised her hand and broke a table leg, and then immediately prepared for the next rescue. The woman successfully helped herself to resolve the crisis, and this is the latest action film released in October. The scene of the explosion in the film can be seen everywhere. There is no long dialogue and stagnant plot. It is one of the few iconic works of this year. So without further ado, let's enjoy it. In the headquarters building of the Tokyo Triad, the boss Yamaguchi just shot at his subordinates. Unexpectedly, a gun suddenly stopped his head. Yamaguchi was a little confused and was about to touch the gun. "I wouldn't open your safe." Yamaguchi didn't know the whereabouts of the woman, but he still opened the safe. The rectangular box in the safe was obviously the woman's target. However, before the woman succeeded, a group of subordinates came out. A fierce battle broke out between the two sides. Yamaguchi took the box by chance, but was hit by the female killer in the process of escaping, and her subordinates were also cleanly resolved. After shooting down the subordinates, the woman immediately chased up. But she was attacked by Yamaguchi behind the wall. However, this had no effect on her. She quickly stood up again and fought with Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi is the boss of the Triad, but his boxing skills are really good. He can fight with the killer. If it weren't for the weapon in his hand, I'm afraid the final result would be unpredictable. But reality does not allow assumptions. Yamaguchi was finally put into the pool by the woman. After a painful struggle, he still lost his life. Then the woman took out the small box from Yamaguchi's pocket. After pushing the body into the pool, the woman quickly took off her coat, took off her wig, and quietly left the scene. Yamaguchi has a happy family. She has a husband named Dawe who loves her very much. Dawe is in charge of logistics in the International Medical Organization. The two have a good relationship. Every night, Dawe will cook at home and wait for Yamaguchi to come home. After dinner, the two will go shopping together. During the holiday, they will go on a trip together. They live very comfortably. One day, Yamaguchi came home as usual. When he returned home, he found a mess in the house. While Yamaguchi was confused, he suddenly remembered on the table that Dawe had been kidnapped. The kidnapper asked Yamaguchi to find the Satoru Tani locked in the dark prison within 9 hours. From there, he got a black file called Jin Sike. He was not allowed to tell anyone, or he would kill Dawe. After hanging up the phone, Yamaguchi called his hacker friend Satoru. He asked him to locate the phone number. Then, according to the location found in Satoru, he came to the place where Dawe was kidnapped. This is an abandoned building. There is no one in the building. Yamaguchi received a call from the kidnapper as soon as he went upstairs. For Yamaguchi's behavior, the kidnapper was very angry and told Yamaguchi that he was stepping on a stress-activating explosive device under his feet. If he took a step, he would die. This is just a small warning to Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi was at the Marsfield beach. He saw Satoru Tani, who was being held. Yamaguchi asked Satoru Tani to tell the secret of the black file. Satoru Tani didn't say anything. He just said hello to Yamaguchi's ancestors. Yamaguchi couldn't help but be angry with Satoru Tani. He found the black file in Satoru Tani's teeth. The Marsfield explosive source was blocked. Yamaguchi knocked him down on the ground and then escaped. After the Marsfield explosive source rose, he found the file was robbed. Yamaguchi asked everyone to catch Yamaguchi. The black file contained all the information of the highest-level executives in the United States. It is the highest confidentiality. It is related to the security of the country. Losing it will cause disastrous consequences. The enemy will use this information to rebel against U.S. officials and turn them into spies. It's legal and illegal. Everyone. In an instant, the entire CIA received the order to arrest Yamaguchi. In their eyes, Yamaguchi had become a traitor. Yamaguchi escaped to a deserted place and hid himself. He picked up the phone and called the person he trusted most, his superior, Yamaguchi, and told him that his husband was kidnapped. The kidnapper asked Yamaguchi to find the black file. But there was no black file. Yamaguchi suspected it was done by Tani. Yamaguchi had no power. He hoped Yamaguchi would help him. This was his last hope. Yamaguchi secretly took the key to the darkroom. But when he opened the door, he found that the logo was dropped, so he immediately came to the living room to get it. He had already hidden the gun. The killer had come to the back. Yamaguchi had already alerted the police to take action. He was a fat man in front of Yamaguchi. After a fight, Yamaguchi grabbed the opportunity to pick up the gun. Bang, bang, 2 shots. It was at this time that the killer's phone suddenly rang. Yamaguchi picked up the phone. The other party is the one who forced him to steal the information. Your intel is wrong. There was no file. Are you sure this is the game you want to play? Fuck. The truth was empty. Yamaguchi just wanted to explain. But the other party hung up the phone. Then he sent a video. If Yamaguchi didn't hand over the file again 4 hours later, he would leave his account balance of 8 yuan. Yamaguchi, who had no way to go, had to find Yamaguchi again. He hoped he could help himself. But he didn't expect that just as they were talking, a group of agents suddenly appeared to surround them. It turned out that Yamaguchi also had a stain on that file. Facing his own reputation, even if he was close to someone, he would also give a hand. Not long after, Yamaguchi was taken to the central police station. However, when he was halfway there, several white SUVs suddenly broke in. Then he sucked the bomb out of the car door. Then he pressed the remote control. The car in which Yamaguchi was locked exploded instantly. Then the 2 sides started a rapid-fire battle on the way. Yamaguchi was also taking the opportunity to shoot at the people in the car, but in the process of fighting, the car was also hit by the other party. After a while, Yamaguchi woke up first. Then he took a weapon. It was a bunch of bullets against those killers. Then he threw a grenade. Although he was taken by the central police station, these terrorists were still the most terrifying. He didn't expect that as soon as he ran away, there was a killer chasing him. Yamaguchi took the opportunity to attack him. Then he fought with the car. After a fight, Yamaguchi picked up the dagger on the ground. He pointed it at Yamaguchi. Then he sent the other party to the northwest. He could tear off his mask. But he found that the other party was his neighbor. This made Yamaguchi more and more confused. It seemed that all this was already in the layout. Afri and the hacker opened the file. It turned out that it was not a list of thieves, but a virus. A virus that can destroy and encrypt all internet traffic, lock all the devices that connect it, and eventually lead to the collapse of the entire system. Once this virus is spread out, the global internet, military satellites, communications, etc. will all be paralyzed. This virus is also targeted. Basically, every country has a corresponding model. At the same time, according to the geographical location of the country that is positioned by the highest authority, that is to say, it can attack other countries and prevent its own country from being harmed. Once it is turned on, it cannot be stopped. There are 6 minutes left. Afri drove quickly to the phone booth. Unexpectedly, time has passed. He thought his husband was innocent. Afri, who was in pain, was knocked down by a man behind him with an electric gun. At this time, the United Nations was holding a meeting. The electronic screen suddenly turned into a man wearing a mask. He asked the countries present to take out 1% of their GDP. Otherwise, every country's stock market will collapse, and the government will be paralyzed. He first released a black file to Singapore. At that moment, the electronic system in Singapore was paralyzed. There was only 1 hour left. The representatives of each country had no choice but to contact the people of the country to pay the man. Afri was caught by the kidnappers and locked up. It turned out that the kidnapper was called Brezhnov. He was a senior official in another country. Because of his greed for money and dissatisfaction with the U.S. government, he planned this electronic war. Afri only had his husband David in his eyes. When the assistant took David out, he fired a gun at David's abdomen. Obviously, Brezhnov didn't really want to let David and Afri go, but to kill the two of them. But since the bad guys died in the Garden of Words, Afri and David took the opportunity to kill the kidnappers together. After seeing Afri blinded, she fell under her husband's knife. Afri was stunned. She didn't expect that her husband, who was usually quiet, was not as good as her. After the rope was untied, Afri immediately gave her a punch and raised his gun. It turned out that David's real identity was the mysterious killer card that Kite had been investigating. And Brezhnov knew that there was a mole in this thing. It was also revealed by him, in order to pay back the $20 million he owed. Now the situation is critical. Kite can only destroy Brezhnov's plan first, and most of the countries at the summit are worried about the crisis. It's already started. Just when Brezhnov wanted to take the next step, David took all the power out. The base was instantly out of power. The security guard who went to repair the circuit was also stopped by David. As the gunshots sounded, Brezhnov immediately ordered to block the area, and Kite also seized the opportunity to counterattack. Leave the other party's personnel here. Because of the network disconnection, the programmer couldn't give orders at all. In a hurry, Brezhnov could only take him to leave first. Soon after, Kite caught up with him. One shot hit the programmer, and then he started a gunfight with Brezhnov. In this way, the two of them fired dozens of shots at each other, regardless of whether there was a bullet or not. After the last bullet was fired, Kite fought with him directly. It was a blow to him. At first glance, the programmer was about to send a self-destruct program. Just when he was about to faint, he was turned over by Brezhnov. Even at the last moment, the programmer started the destruction button. At this time, Brezhnov also took out the dagger to completely end the confrontation. At the last moment, Kite used his last strength to insert the dagger into the opponent's waist, but he didn't dare to stop here. He struggled again and ran to the second floor. Just when the data was about to be transmitted, he pulled down the network. Looking at the screen, it was interrupted. Kite finally let out a sigh of relief. At this time, David also rushed over, although he tried his best to explain what happened. Before, Kite didn't want to believe him. He decided to draw a clear line with him, because one is a police officer and the other is a thief. At this time, the agent of the CIA also arrived here. But in front of them, David knew that he would definitely face death if he stayed. So he jumped out of the window and ran away, and Kite was locked up in the secret prison of the CIA. Just when Evans wanted to attack the silk market, the door was pushed open by a mysterious woman. Then Evans was called away by a phone call, and his purpose in coming here is to absorb Kite as a capable cadre. This is the end of the video.